Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have John Waid on the line, and it is a very special 2020 reunion episode. So what is that? That's when I had a guest on in the past, and I liked him so much I had to bring him right back. So John is the founder and CEO over at Corporate Culture Consulting. John, welcome back to the show.
I'm glad to be back on.
So today's topic, the titanium triangle, we're going to have you define that. We're going to have you get into it, what it means to you, and how you use it. But before we do that, let's get into what you're doing over at Corporate Culture Consulting. So first, tell us a little bit more about your company, please.
Okay, so what we do is started about 8 years ago with the idea that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And lots of companies know their strategy. A lot of them, even fewer, know their processes, and then hardly any know their culture. And what I mean by culture is, what is your purpose? What is your mission? What are your values? And then what are the principles of behavior that you have? And for me, it's a focus on values is really what we focus on, and because the values will drive the behavior, and the behavior will drive the results.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Culture eats strategy for breakfast, John. I don't think I've heard you say that one. That's awesome. So that being said, I think that's also going to be a great transition. Let's get into the titanium triangle. So tell us a little bit more about what that means.
So every company wants to make money. So the base of the triangle is money. It's your strategy. It's how you survive. It's how you make money. It's how you manage your business. It's how you manage your life. You know, if we think of our founding fathers in the United States, they believed in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So the base of the pyramid, and that's what I call the gold part of the pyramid, that's your survival part. That's your life part. That's how you make your money, and, that's how you hold yourself accountable. So if you own your own business, accountability has got to be one of your values, because you got to hold yourself accountable to make ends meet. So that's the survival part. That's what we call the life part. And if you go to the Romans, for them, when they built a building, they wanted to make sure that it had utility, that it served a purpose. So they built all their buildings with utility as one of their main values. So that's the bottom of the triangle. The titanium triangle is the gold part. And that's, again, your survival value. That's your money value. So everybody should have a survival value for their business. So what is it that my value is for my business? And it might be something like accountability. It may be something like safety. What is it that drives me to survive? Is it safety? Is it accountability? Is it empire building? Whatever it is, what is it that drives me to survive? So that's the gold level of the triangle. So if you move one step up on that, then the next one is, so we've got, life is, we all need life. So that's the bottom of the pyramid. That's your survival value. The next value that you want to work on is what helps you grow, right? So we need growth. So in our business, we need to survive. We need to make money. We need a strategy. The next one up is the platinum value, and I call that, the growth value. So if you think about the founding fathers, if life is your survival value, your growth value would be liberty, because without liberty, you can't get better. You can't, progress. Without liberty, you're not going to grow. So that was the value of the founding fathers. If you go to the Roman times, the building had to have utility. It also had to have strength. So they were constantly looking for how to build the strongest buildings. So they were constantly getting better in their architecture and their materials and everything else. That's why you see Roman buildings, even today after thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So strength was their secondary value. So let's talk about a business like Southwest Airlines. What is their golden value? So they have one called warrior spirit, and that's what keeps Southwest, grounded, right? That's how they get the bags on the plane. That's how they lower costs. It's a warrior spirit. How do we survive? Their next value is what they call the servant heart. If you think about it, humility is a wonderful value. If you're humble, that means you're willing to learn, you're willing to grow, you're willing to get better. So that's their secondary value, what I call the platinum value. So at Southwest Airlines, warrior spirit. The next one is servant heart. So now we've got the gold part of the pyramid, so you can survive. You've got your gold. Now you're getting better, so you're growing. So you've got the platinum part of the pyramid. And now let's go for the titanium. So the titanium is what we call your aspirational value, and that's what makes it all worth it, right? Because I can have life, I can have liberty. If I can't pursue happiness, then why did I do all of that, right? So I'm alive, I'm growing, I have liberty. If I can't pursue happiness, then what's it all? Why did I do the first two? So that's what at Southwest Airlines they call the fun loving. That's their value. That's their top value. That's what I call the titanium value, because that's what inspires us to want to keep going. It inspires us to do the gold. It inspires us to do the titanium. And then finally, the platinum, and then it really inspires us to be titanium. Funny how I came up with this, because I became a titanium member at Marriott. And it really made me feel good, because I don't know how much it made me feel good. I'd stayed 75 nights at a Marriott last year. So when I became titanium, it kind of made me feel good. It kind of said, well, all that stuff that I did to stay at all these hotels was worth it. And they treat me really nice at Marriott. Marriott's got some good values. I want to plug Marriott on this show, because I really think they pay attention to their people and to the customer. So anyway, so I became a titanium member at Marriott, and I said, why not call it the titanium pyramid? So why is this stuff important for your business? Because if you don't have your three values in mind, you're probably running what we call rudderless. You've got the ship out there, and it's sort of going everywhere it wants to go and not where you want it to go sometimes. So if we have a survival value, we have a growth value, and we have a aspirational value, we're able to grow our business as well. If you think of Chick-Fil-A versus Kentucky Fried Chicken, Chick-fil-A makes $5 million per store, and Kentucky Fried Chicken makes $1 million. And the reason that they make $1 million or $5 million versus $1 million is because they have that titanium value. So Chick-fil-A has the titanium, they also have the platinum, and they also have the gold. Now, Kentucky only has the gold. They're in the survival. They've got their survival value, they've got their make money, they've got their strategy. So they're what we call strategy driven. And so, they make $1 million per store. If you really want to move to that next level, from gold to platinum to titanium, that'll give you the $5 million. So if you just want $1 million, then stick with the strategy. If you want $3 million, then introduce processes and growth. And then if you want $5 million, you really got to get to that titanium level. You need to introduce something like the fun-loving value that Southwest Airlines has. Now, Adam, let me ask you a question. How many people do you think, if you asked them what the values were at their company, could actually tell you?
Well, that was going to be my next question to you. Is if somebody's listening to this right now, John, and they're taking notes diligently, like I am right now, and they see the life, liberty, and happiness, they see the gold, the platinum, titanium. what do you recommend is the first step? And obviously we're not going to have time to do it all in this program, but what do you recommend is the first step of them really doing an honest and legitimate self-assessment to see where their gaps are in the pyramid?
Okay, so what I would say is if you're focusing on the strategy, good for you. If you've got your strategy, if you're surviving, that's awesome. If you're growing and you've got processes in your business, that's awesome too. That means you've gone from gold to platinum. Now, what I would challenge you is to go to titanium. How do you work on your culture? And culture has 4 unique components. So you want to have a purpose other than just making money. You want to have a mission, which is, more tied to your business. What is it? Your mission for your business. You want to have what I call 3 values. You want to have an operational value, a growth value, and an aspirational value. And then you want to have behaviors. So behaviors are important because that's what's going to help you to operationalize your culture. So I would say about 5% of companies, and I'm being generous by 5%, I could go and I could say to the Southwest Airlines, I could say to any employee at Southwest Airlines, what are your values? And they would tell me right away what their 3 values are. If you're in that category, then, that's awesome.
So that's one very tangible indicator that lets somebody know that's listening. I like that you said that. So that's because sometimes it's hard for leadership to know because maybe they're not as in touch necessarily with all their employees. But if they were to ask their executive staff, maybe their executive staff could say, yes, we know the values. The values are X, Y, Z. But if they go one rung down, can that person say it? Or if they go another rung down, can those people state the values? And if they can't, then it's really an honest assessment that there's a little bit of work to be done there. Because I don't think people do it intentionally. They don't intentionally not lead with culture. Sometimes they don't necessarily know, or they can't, or they don't have that tangible. So what you said right there, that's a great point.
Right. It took me 15 years to come up with this. And through the School of Hard Knocks. So when I look at a business, I look at it a little bit differently. I'll go into your business and I'll ask you, what are your values? What's your purpose? What's your mission? And what is, what are the behaviors that will get you hired and fired? If they can't answer any of those questions, then you get a F minus. And you're probably running at the very bottom. You might be running at the gold level. So you've got your strategies, you're making some money, you're doing okay. If you want to get better, you've got to get into that second rung. You've got to get into the platinum level so you can grow. And if you want to be really, really great, which I aspire for, when I go into a business, I don't want you just to be good or very good. I want you to be great. So I want you to get to that titanium level because that's where you're really firing on all cylinders. Imagine a 3-cylinder car that's only firing on one. 90% of businesses are probably only firing on one cylinder right now. And if we make the aspiration of, hey, let's get to that, platinum level where we're growing, and let's get to that titanium level where we're sustainable for the long term, and that's where you've got a well-established culture. Then you're going to be at the level of the Chick-Fil-A's, you're going to be at the level of the Southwest Airlines, you're going to be at the level of the Googles of the world, and that's really where I hope that businesses want to go. I hope leaders want to go there, and if you're interested in getting to those levels, and what we're talking about on this show, get in touch with me, get in touch with somebody who understands what culture is all about. There's not many of us because it's a relatively new field. And
awesome.
It's something that I discovered that's the Midas touch. If you can get the culture, it's really the Midas touch. So.
And John, I think that's a great transition too. So what is the best way for them if somebody's listening to this and they do want to improve culture in their company, what is the best way for them to reach out to you and to contact you?
So you can reach me because I'm a culture guy. You can reach me by phone. Let's just talk. It's 404-915-3051. It's John Waid. If I don't answer, just leave a message. I'll get right back to you. You can also reach me at my email at jwaid@corporatecultureconsulting.com, or you can reach us at our website, which is www.c3culture.com.
That's awesome. Well, hey, John, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background, but also all the great work you're doing in this in the titanium triangle. So looking forward to hearing more great stuff out of that and out of you, of course. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And, John, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Adam.